I'm not saying what I felt in my heart or something that I thought. No, I was on my bed. Very fantastic discussion. God came, he said to me, preach this thing this way. He said, preach God's redemptive plan to save humanity as it concerns the birth of Jesus, concerns his ministry, the death, the burial, the resurrection. The birth of Jesus went through the following manifestation. Number one, in Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. God saw it in his foreknowledge that Satan is going to deceive the woman, and the woman will also try to commit the husband, and both of them shall collapse. When God saw it, God made provision. So at the time devil succeeded in bringing the woman and the man down in the Garden of Eden, so God came there. If not that lamb that was slain before the foundation, God could have destroyed Adam and Eve. But God have already laid foundation, the lamb that was slain as a sacrifice, as an atonement for their salvation. So immediately God came, he said to the Satan, because you have done this, I will raise a seed from this woman who shall bruise your head. That's the first prophetic ever declared here on earth concerning our salvation. It was done by God. Then secondly, we moved to Abraham. God met him and called him. Say, I'm going to take you to a place, but I will bless you. And Abraham believed God. And God told him, I will raise a seed. I will raise a seed that will become a blessing to the whole world. Meaning, I am bringing Jesus to the earth through you, through your siblings, through you, through your lineage. And that Jesus will solve the problem of sin in this world. Meaning, in every nation, there will be proclamation of the gospel of Jesus, and as many that shall be open shall be saved. And there is no nation in this world you will go today, you will not see Christians. So that was the second thing in the first stage. Then the third one was that God decided to raise a nation called Israel. Because Israel need to be there, because God decided to raise a nation whom he's going to use to navigate his program for human redemption. So God was the one that founded Israel. Israel was not founded by man or by circumstance. It was God that changed the name of Jacob to who? To Israel. Then you move again to Genesis 49. I thank God it was time that Jacob was about to die, and he gathered all his children to bless them. When he came to Judah and he linked Judah, he pronounced that Judah will be the source that's going to bring Jesus Christ in this world. If you go through Genesis 49, I think in verse 8 to 12, you see his father, Jacob pronounced on that date. That was the first time something like lion was pronounced in the Bible. That's why Jesus is called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. It was from that blessing he linked Judah to lion and linked him to the expectation of to Shiloh. That when you go through Genesis chapter 49 from verse, I think 8 to 12, and by his spirit, he's now empowering who? Jacob to pronounce a special tribe that through whom Jesus shall be born. Moses came and became a great prophet. Once upon a time in Deuteronomy 18:15, Moses spoke very clearly. He said, that expected Messiah, he shall come. And he gave them a very powerful description of how he's going to come. He said, he shall be born among you. He shall not be born outside Israel. No Messiah shall be recognized outside Israel. The authentic Messiah shall come from Israel, among you. But one thing very unique, that he shall be greater than me, and him you shall hear. Finally, Joshua came and took them to the promised land. I purposely tried to look for this. Joshua 21:48. The promised land. When Joshua took them to the promised land, divided the land by lot. He divided the land according to the tribe of Israel. But there was one tribe that was not given any lot. That was who? Levi. So because God has already possessed them as priests. So what Joshua did was to share all the Levi into the other 11 tribes. He shared them so that priests of God will be within the tribe of Israel for atonement in case where there are sin, and to minister the word of God to the people. So but there will be one special priest like Aaron and people like that, descendant of Aaron, that will be seated as maybe overall priest in Israel. That is so time and time people have issue like that, they will gather and that priest will go to see God. They're going to tie him something by this place. He will enter into the Holy of Holies and he will seek the face of God for that one time, and they will be listening to him, watching him, and there will be something like a bell making noise in the Holy of Holies. So if God allow him alive, we'll be hearing the sound of the bell until he comes out. If not, if they don't hear the bell again, they know he's dead. They pull him out, because no one can go there except a priest, one single priest. So something happened in this place. The Bible said that time, Joshua told them, everything God has promised you from the beginning till today, I have checked the book, checked the history from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, all that God has spoken concerning you, Israel, not even one that God has not accomplished. That is why I choose that verse. Joshua chapter 21 verse 48. He said, behold, today everything that God promised has come to pass. God has accomplished all. Then on that ground, we enter to stage 2. So the first stage dealt with, just as we have seen, the journey from eternity till when Joshua told them, everything God has promised you is what? Perfectly completed. You are now in the promised land. So now settle. And they settled and begin to grow like a nation. So why God settled them is to enable God through them to bring Jesus. Now that they have settled, you know what God did? God started raising prophets. That is the second stage. So a lot of prophets are to speak now. That is how you hear Prophet Jeremiah, Prophet Isaiah, Prophet this, Prophet that. They were the second stage that God put in the manifestation of the birth of Jesus, both in his death, both his resurrection. But the first stage is where we have gone through, from the foreknowledge till when Israel got to the promised land.